Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 27th of March, now it's 12:30, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There's quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me once again emphasize how grateful I am for your time, attention and support. It truly does mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with the Ukrainian special military operation, because this morning Zelensky's regime did conduct a strike in direction of Melitopol city, and as a result of this strike, State University of Melitopol was hit. This happened in 8:15 morning by Moscow time, and let me share with you this footage from RIA Novosti about this strike. You can hear sound of explosions, and students are running away from university, and yeah, it was horrifying. It was horrifying for students and their families, and just for everyone, of course, in that city. And I believe Moscow, in fairly short amount of time, will be forced to truly take some extreme measures to make sure that Zelensky's regime will have no opportunity to conduct strikes deep inside Russian territory, because for now it's obvious that Zelensky and his henchmen are trying to kill as many civilians in Russia as possible. And that's why they are targeting universities, that's why they are targeting civilian apartments, that's why they are indiscriminately targeting cities and settlements under Russian control and deep inside Russian territory. So according to media outlets, during this morning's strike in Melitopol, no one was killed. At least that's information that we have for this moment, but many people were wounded. Campus of university was seriously damaged, and people was evacuated from that campus. And now we will probably see what will be Russian answer for this strike. And let me share with you this news also about yesterday's attempt from Zelensky's regime to strike deep inside Russian territory. We have some more information at this stage. So yesterday, Kiev did attempt to strike with Tu-141 Strij drone, Soviet-era drone, that was modernized, and Zelensky's regime using these drones now like missiles. And according to information that we have, because Russian side did use radio electronic warfare system Pole-21, this drone lost orientation and went down in this village here, which is Tula region. So you can see explosion was quite powerful, and if that rocket did hit apartment building, you can imagine what kind of damage could be done. So once again, time after time, we are seeing attempts from Zelensky's regime to kill as many Russian civilians as possible, and I believe time is running out for Moscow, for Putin and his government to deal with this issue, because one day society will fed up with everything, really, and may not just start to ask questions, but also make some demands. So I don't know. I hope Putin and his people know what they are doing, because more and more people are. Internet is full of angry publications from just ordinary citizens of Russia, and they are demanding some measures to be taken against Zelensky and his henchmen. And it's quite understandable, isn't it? No one really understands why Zelensky is allowed to walk around Ukraine like he's some kind of mini Napoleon and act tough. No one, I don't understand what the hell is going on. Do you? Just recently he went to Chesovyar, isn't it? And Chesovyar is under constant bombardment of Russian side. But when Zelensky was in that town, according to some reports, not even single shell hit that settlement. You tell me why. I do remember that just a month ago, approximately, former Prime Minister of Israel did said that Putin promised him personally that the Russian side will do nothing against Zelensky. And who knows? Maybe that's true. And maybe Putin truly did give some security guarantees to Zelensky. I don't know why, because in my understanding, if you are conducting a military operation, one of the main goals always are to take out leadership of enemy. That's just basics. That's just basics, But in this case, we are seeing that not a single military or political leader of Zelensky's regime was hurt in any way, shape or form, which is strange, and that's why, for example, society is more and more angry, and as I said, the internet is full of criticism towards current Russian government, and I don't know, do Moscow monitor situation? Probably they do. So let's see how will develop situation anyway. Let's continue now. And according to TASS news agency, and this is a statement from former colonel of LPR, Lugansk People's Republic, Andrei Marochko, and he said that in direction of Seversk, entire battalion tactical group of Zelensky's regime was destroyed on the march when they were moving in large column. I did not see any video or photo confirmation of this information, but probably during the day we will see some video footage of this, because entire battalion tactical group is several hundred soldiers and dozens of military vehicles. So I don't think Marochko said this without having some proofs. Let's continue, and it's the same Marochko. This is TASS news agency, and according to him, because Zelensky's regime is transferring to Bakhmut, and let me show you Bakhmut. I forget about map. So Melitopol is here. First news was about Zelensky's regime's strike in the direction of Melitopol, and that's Melitopol, almost in the middle of this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. And as you know, Zelensky's regime is quite active recently in this direction because of this anticipated by many large-scale counteroffensive of Zelensky's regime that should take place in this direction in coming weeks. So it's obvious that Zelensky's regime is quite active, but yet again today they did target university, which is a pure war crime. It's a war crime, and probably they think that more civilians they will kill, more they will destabilize Russia. I don't know. So yes, when it comes to Bakhmut, there are some fierce fighting inside Bakhmut, and according to Marochko, and not just him, because I did read many other articles about it, Zelensky's regime now sending in Bakhmut some special forces that they have left, and according to Marochko, this just shows you how desperate Zelensky's regime really is. that they are using special forces as ordinary ground forces in Bakhmut. But yet again, it seems like Washington and London, they don't want to hear any bad news from Ukraine, and probably they will continue to hold on for Bakhmut before very end, before there will be no one left in the city from Bakhmut garrison. And it will not take too long, like 1 week, 2 weeks, but eventually PMC Wagner soldiers will establish full control over this town. But right now it's a heavy fighting inside the city center, in central parts. This is central parts right now, because 70-80% of Bakhmut is under Russian control. Let me use this another map, and yes, these white dots are showing approximate positions of contact line. That's a contact line, and as you can see, it's only city center that is left under control of Bakhmut garnison. But same time, we should keep in mind that concentration of Ukrainian armed forces in this area is extreme. In this small area, some up to 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers may be trapped. So of course it will take some time for PMC Wagner units, no matter how good they are in urban fighting. It will take some time to neutralize so many soldiers of opposite side. So when it comes to overall situation on the front line, let me just summarize overall situation, and we will go through other news. So it's in southern part, it's basically artillery duels and military and missile strikes. Different situation is in Donetsk direction. As usually here we have some fierce fighting between the sides, especially in Avdiivka direction. But as you can see, Russian, even this pro-Ukrainian map is acknowledging that Russian side achieved some success, not just in terms of encircling Avdiivka, and Avdiivka now in operational encirclement, but Russian side also pushing forward in direction of Pervomaiska, and this settlement, as I understand, contested right now, and some reports are saying that more than half of this settlement is under Russian control. Of course, Marinka is always hot point, and yesterday we had reports that Russian side managed to move forward once again, and just a little part of this settlement is left under control of Zelensky's regime. And because the entire town is in ruins, I did share many times videos and photos from Marinka. It's just it's like a field of rubble, and it's just difficult to fight in that conditions, and that's why it's taken so long for Russian side to establish full control over this town. But eventually, of course, Marinka will become under full Russian control, and also Seversk is traditionally hot point, and according to some reports, as I just read a few minutes ago, entire battalion tactical group of Zelensky's regime was destroyed when it was sent to reinforce Ukrainian positions in direction of Seversk. So no breakthroughs from any one side at this point, but it's heavy fighting is continuing in traditional hot points for last, let's say, months and a half. It's Seversk, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Marinka. That's main hot points. Liman direction, of course. So let's continue now. Let's continue. And as I said many times, I mean, there are some channels that are devoting much more time to explain in more detail, to report in more detail about situation on the front line, military summary, DPA war channel. They're doing great job on this on daily basis, and also Alexander Mercury's also, of course. So I do recommend those channels if you want to learn in more details what is going on the front lines. And let's continue now. This is TASS News Agency's report about statements that was made by chairman of Russian Security Council, Nikolai Patrushev, and according to him, states some members of NATO have taken sides in this conflict in Ukraine and are now part of this conflict. Basically, he's talking about in general about NATO, that NATO is part of this conflict. NATO is openly become, let's say, involved in this confrontation. And whenever I see this kind of informations, I mean, it's always follow-up questions. I mean, and what you're gonna do about it? It's one thing to say, NATO is part of this conflict, and that's why it's confusing. Whenever I see this kind of statements, if you are saying that NATO is at war with you, he did not use word war, but he did said. In Russian, it's NATO является стороной конфликта на Украине. That means NATO is a part of the conflict in Ukraine. So even if he did not use word war, this sentence means that NATO at war with Russia. And whenever high-ranking officials are making these statements, I mean, it's always follow-up questions that comes up with mind. And what you are doing about it, what you're gonna do about it. You are saying that this organization is at war with you. You are official, and your job is to destroy all the enemies that are in war with Russia. So what you are doing about it? I mean, why you are making this kind of statement if you are not going to do anything? And I don't think that Moscow will do anything against NATO, right? So that's why it's very confusing, and it's become. I mean, we are now living in times when words and words are losing its meaning, basically, because I don't understand how can high-ranking officials say this kind of stuff when he perfectly well knows that Moscow will not do anything against NATO, even though he is saying that NATO is at war with Russia, with different words, but with this meaning. I don't know. Of course, NATO is a part of this conflict, of course. And Moscow should do something about it. But as far as I know, for now, Russia is supplying NATO member states with energy, with some other commodities, and it's like business as usual. So I don't know. I don't understand, man. I'm losing understanding of Moscow's attempts and Moscow's policies. I don't really know what they want or what they plan to do. I mean, Putin and his people. I mean, it's just, and not just me. Probably all of you or most of you have some questions, and I do believe majority of Russian society also don't really understand what the hell is going on. But yet again, what you're gonna do? So let's continue now. Let me check how long is this video. It's 20 minutes, so I will go through headlines at least to share as much news as possible. This is TASS News Agency reporting about statements that Prime Minister of Bulgaria, Kirill Petkov, made. And he said that in last 5-6 months, basically, in last 164 days, Bulgaria delivered to Ukraine weapons for about 2.5 billion euros. So yes, I mean, they are openly saying Bulgaria is NATO member state, for example, and look at it. Head of Bulgaria, once friendly to Russia nation and country, now are saying that, and he's probably proud that Bulgaria did deliver to Zelensky's Nazi regime weapons for 2.5 billion euros to kill Russian citizens. And what Russia gonna do about it? I have a question. Will Bulgarian leadership will pay for their crimes? I don't think so. I don't think so. But, and this is RIA Novosti's report, this time about Poland and weapons that Poland is sending to Ukraine. And according to Deputy Minister of Poland, Foreign Minister of Poland, Jablonski, Warsaw will not send to Ukraine all its MiG-29 jet fighters. For this moment, Poland has about 22 MiG-29A jet fighters and 6 MiG-29 Ube. Ube is for train purposes, MiG-29. And according to Foreign Ministry of Poland, they will not deliver to Ukraine all of its jets, and but they will deliver some, and decision was already made about it. And yes, question is what Moscow gonna do about it. Once again, nothing. That's the answer. And let's continue now. And as you know, during I should say, guys, I'm very upset this morning because of this strike in Melitopol. I become very emotional when I see that news, because just can you imagine, man? It's students, they have families, and and this absolutely peaceful institution had become target of Zelensky's Nazi regime, and how long this gonna continue, for God's sake? I mean, how long? And where is the guarantees that Zelensky's Nazi regime will not strike deep inside Russian territory with chemical and biological weapons tomorrow or day after tomorrow? There is no guarantees. There is no such guarantees, and that's why it's becoming more and more difficult to keep cool and keep calm. When I see that Moscow can take out all those animals in leadership of Nazi Ukraine in a single hour, and at least they organized those military criminal groups that are loyal to Zelensky's Nazi regime, and Moscow for some reason are doing nothing against them, just nothing. And it's becoming difficult, truly difficult to to not be angry about these very strange policies of Russian leadership. I mean, one day, in a month's time or 2 months' time, I'm quite sure there will be next wave of mobilization, and I may be mobilized, and I want to believe that leadership of my country doing everything to exterminate enemy, to defeat enemy, and right now I'm not sure in this. To be honest, I mean, as I said, man, it's becoming very, very hard to you know, don't get angry about everything that is happening. And probably it's not just me, not just probably, but look at the Russian language segment of internet, man. There is thousands and thousands and probably millions of people that are asking questions, and they have all the same questions like I do, because I'm as ordinary citizen as every other one, isn't it? So, you know. So, okay, sorry that I may be a little emotional, but we all are humans, and yeah. So this is RBK News Agency's report. As you know, in previous weeks, there were some massive protests in Israel, and the president of Israel did call Israel's government to stop judiciary reform, because Protestants demonstrations are against this reform, and it seems like exactly that will happen. And we have RIA Novosti's report that Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, stopped this reform. He made the decision, and probably situation will calm down a little bit in Israel. And by the way, yes, I should advertise my channel a little bit. And yes, dear friends, if you think this channel is interesting, useful, has some potential to become something more useful, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, or subscribe to my Patreon channel. Of course, I will be very grateful for this help. And yeah, let's continue with the news. A few more news, and this is it for today's update. We have statements from Japan. So, according to Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, Japan will stay in energo projects in Sakhalin, because it's important for energo security of Japan. As you can see, in one hand, Japan is acting very unfriendly toward Russia, and in second hand, they are trying to stay in projects in Russia, and not just make some money, but also make sure that Japan has enough energy. To be honest, if I was leader of Russian Federation, I will kick out all Japanese investors from Russia in the very first day when Japan took anti-Russian stand. But yet again, it's not up to me. It's just not up to me, though. But yes, Japan, does business with Russia when it's in Japanese interest. But when they have some strong interest, they may, completely ignore interests of Russian Federation. That's what they are doing, and Russia should do same with Japan. Russia don't need Japan whatsoever. Nothing Russia needs from Japan. Nothing, just nothing. Just forget about those islands and leave them there alone, and wish them luck, But and let them buy gas and oil from, I don't know, man, from any other place in this world, and pay twice or three times more price. Just let them do it. But it's not up to me yet again. And this is RIA Novosti's report about statements that Russian Foreign Ministry made, according to which Russia is not intended to leave World Trade Organization. This topic was always controversial in Russia, because there were many, not just representatives of society, but not just ordinary people, but also public figures were against Russian participation in this organization, and they have some arguments that Russian economy has been hurt once Russia became a part of WTO. But yet again, Russian elites, let's say this way, at least partially Russian elites are part of these Western globalist elites, and they are acting not in best interests of Russia, and they never did. They are acting in best interests of globalists, and that's why Russia will remain in WTO. And this organization, for example, by US and EU member states, was used against Russia. All those sanctions are illegal. But do you ever hear that WTO made any statements about it? No, nothing. Me personally, I don't want Russia to have anything to do with any so-called international organization that are under full 100% control of Western elites, but Russian leadership thinks other way, looks like, and Russia will remain in WTO even though this organization does nothing good for Russia, just nothing. Russian economy was destroyed because Russia entered this WTO, because Russian companies find it hard to be more competitive with foreign companies that are using Russian participation in WTO to push their products in Russian market under heavy discount. Sometimes discount comes from government support there in other countries. And it's a long topic, but as I said, I'm against Russian participation in any organization that is under full 100% control of Western elites, because they will be used against Russia always. And let's continue now. This is also RIA Novosti. And according to this information from Rosatom, Rosatom is a structure that responsible for everything nuclear in Russia when it comes to civilian part of nuclear developments. Of course, militaries are different stuff, but when it comes to civilian use of nuclear technologies, then it's Rosatom. And as you know, Russia operates nuclear icebreakers, many of them. And Russia has biggest fleet of icebreakers, including nuclear ones. And according to Rosatom, Russia did manage to improve situation on the northern sea route, and this direction will become more and more useful and more and more popular in coming years because of these improvements also. And probably this is true because with this global warming and stuff, and probably northern route, which is in economical terms much cheaper than any other route from Asia to Europe and vice versa. This northern route will probably become more and more popular, and that's why Russia basically are heavily investing in icebreaker fleet and to build up infrastructure before entire this northern route. That's we are talking about. That's area, this northern passage have been used for quite years now by many shipping companies, and it's becoming more and more popular because it's much easier from China, for example, to transport its goods by northern route other than transport all goods through Indian Ocean and then stay in queue around Africa, or stay queue and go through Suez Canal to reach European ports. So, of course, this northern route will become more and more popular in coming years, and Russia is preparing to be ready for this. And I don't think there will be no ice in this northern route for decades. I mean, probably it will always be under ice, especially in the winter time. But because of global warming, which is not caused by human activity, in my opinion, by the way, it's just natural process. It's a global warming, then ice age, and then global warming again, and it has nothing to do with humans, like it had nothing to do with dinosaurs some millions and millions years ago. It's just how nature works. But now we are in global warming phase of this cycle, and one day, of course, we may see northern route without any ice whatsoever. Let's continue now, and this is gonna be last news for today. Quite interesting news, because from 1st April, Russia will start digital ruble. So we will have another currency in Russia, which will be digital ruble. This is not crypto. This is not a crypto currency. It will be just like ordinary ruble, but in digital form. And Russian Central Bank will run this project. It's in trials stage right now, and this ruble, digital ruble, will depend on Russian oil, not oil, but gold and golden reserves. So Russia may try to link up Russian ruble with gold to make sure that ruble is more stabilized. But yet again, this is just on a trials stage right now, and let's see how it will develop. But it seems like Russia is leading this direction of transformation of current monetary policies in digital sphere, and at some point probably we will have no cash whatsoever. Everything will become digital. Not today and not tomorrow, of course, but at some point probably currency will be digitized entirely, and I'm not sure if that's good, because then state will have full control over your savings, when now at least you can, I don't know, have some cash store in somewhere, I don't know, not in a bank if you don't trust banks, but at least you have some choice now. But when currencies become fully digital, it takes from us choice, and I'm not sure that I like this idea. If it will be like one of the ways, okay, but we all know which direction all this stuff is going, isn't it? They want more control, the so-called elites, and one of the way to control societies is to control their assets, including their money. So this is it. This is it for now. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And if you want and if you can, then you can support my channel with small donations through PayPal or by subscribing subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. So yes, this is it for now. I wish you all a great new week, and take care. See you soon.